As highly sensitive people, we often delay making decisions. And the longer that we prolong this delay, the more difficult the decision seems to be. In this short video, I'm going to mention some really great practical tips, ways in which you can make a decision with greater certainty. In life, we are constantly asked to make decisions. We have access to this internal GPS, also known as our inner tuition. And our intuition can either whisper or it can scream. It can tell us to get up and do something, or it can tell us to stop and wait. And it's constantly guiding us, but we are unable to hear it when we get overwhelmed with the analysis and the chatter in our mind. The intuitive process is generally very fast. You know instantly whether you like something, whether you don't like something, whether you'd prefer to do this or you hesitate not to. It's the questioning and analysis of our initial gut reaction is what takes the longest time in the decision-making process. We may feel guilty about something that we feel is right or wrong. We may fear the repercussions of our choice on others, and we're not used to putting ourselves first. So are you hesitating because you're really unsure of what your intuition is telling you? Or are you confused by all the mental chatter that your ego is convincing you is true? Ask yourself, is my choice based on how I truly feel? Or am I afraid that someone else won't like my decision and therefore won't like me? How strong am I in my ability to stand in my truth and feel worthy and deserving of what I choose for myself? How easily am I swayed by others to make a decision, to make a choice? And if you've done that in the past, where has that led you to? A sense of self-betrayal, more uncertainty, a sense of disappointment, feelings of low self-worth because you didn't show courage and make the choice that you really wanted to make? People who love us will support us in our decisions. No matter what that choice is, even if it makes others uncomfortable, they will respect us for being true to ourselves. We are all individuals and we have individual needs and preferences. And this is our point of difference. And this is the point of power where we navigate and create our own lives. Decision making is an essential practice that helps us rebuild our self-worth. When we make choices that feel good to us and feel true to us, we feel amazing, and that radiates to everybody. We may have grown up in households or been in relationships where we were bullied or silenced and where our opinion or preferences were not valued. So we are used to questioning and overanalyzing and thinking whether we made the right choice, and we get into that mental processing. But honestly, we know when something is right for us. Even when you make an incorrect decision, there's great value in that because you remember what it feels like. You remember what wasn't right for you. Take that feedback on board and get familiar with the feeling of what it feels like when something is right for you. Connect to that certainty that just feels right in your gut and let that be your guide. Start with making small decisions and get used to what a yes feels like. We are quite familiar with what indecision feels like. Many of us highly sensitive people are so accustomed to being passive, to not speaking up about our preferences and our needs. Sometimes if we hesitate making a decision, we have regrets because we may have missed an opportunity. Continuously living in regret seeps away our energy. So make a decision and choose to no longer live in regret. Accept that the choices that you made brought you to where you are right now. And right now, you are going to make a more conscious, empowered decision. And a common problem for us highly sensitive people is when the volume of that mental ego chatter is actually turned up to such a level that we cannot hear our intuition. And a really good way to differentiate when you're making a decision is, are you making it from a place of fear, or are you making it from a place of love, of trust? It might be common sense, but a really great exercise when you're confronted to make a decision is to sit down and sit in silence. Observe all that mental chatter and just let it do its thing. It's almost like looking at some clouds in the sky, waiting for them to clear before you see a beautiful blue sky. So sit there long enough until those clouds clear and you begin to hear the voice of your intuition and your heart speaking to you. When you face a fork in the road and you must make a decision, ask yourself, imagine how would you feel if you made the decision to do this or to do that? Do you feel excited making this decision? Does it bring you joy or does it make you feel hesitant? Is your energy expanded or contracted? And always sit with what feels right intuitively for you. Become mindful of what your body is telling you. And as a highly sensitive person, if you get caught up in that analysis that is taking a significant amount of time and energy, which leads to a paralysis and more uncertainty and hesitation, set yourself a limit. Allow yourself a certain amount of time to do your research, to collect data, to speak to experts, people that you trust, people that know you. Give yourself to the end of the day, to the end of this week, this time next month, whatever it is, set yourself a limit and make a decision based on the research that you've accumulated and you've sat with. Making a decision also involves us trusting that whatever decision we make is the right one. Oftentimes I hear people saying, how can I trust the job, that person, the relationship? And we hesitate again making a decision that we'd really love to make, but we are uncertain of whether we can trust the situation or the person. The most empowering perspective to always remember is that you need to trust yourself, that regardless of what happens, you are fully skilled and ready, and you trust yourself that you will know exactly what to do. There are moments in life where we have to make decisions with a certain amount of uncertainty. And I believe that that is a great opportunity for us to surrender our need to control and to know everything. And it's a beautiful space to be in, that space of ambiguity, and allow divine guidance or whatever your belief is, allow the universe, God, to reveal the next step to you. And the next step may not be revealed to you until you make this decision. It's a beautiful way to show trust, to surrender, and to let go of our ego wanting to control everything. So another really great exercise is make a list of the times you made a decision and what good things came out of it. Remind yourself that yes, it took a lot of courage. You felt the fear, but you trusted, that you knew you had to step up. Writing a list of pros and cons. Asking really empowering questions like, what will it cost me if I make this decision? What will it cost me if I don't make this decision? What is the price for avoiding making this decision? And how does that make me feel? Will I feel empowered or will I feel victimized? If you looked back on this situation, the fork in the road that you're confronted with right now with this decision, in 5, 10, 20 years' time, what would you say to yourself about this decision? Writing things down on paper is quite a cathartic experience, and it allows us to get things out of our head, and it also eases that analysis paralysis that we have going on in our mind as highly sensitive people. It helps us to see all the information that we're processing in our mind. So writing can be an excellent tool to give us relief. Meditation is also a really great tool because it helps us to listen. It puts us in the receptive mode and it dissipates that mental chatter. Every single one of us has a dream. We have a calling, and that's going to require us making some challenging decisions. Decisions which will involve us feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Decision making also involves us knowing where we begin and where others end, how healthy our boundaries are. It is a skill that you will master. So think about, what do you need to decide today, this moment, this week, that will move you closer to a certain goal, your dream, your sense of fulfillment, your happiness? Who do you need to say no to? What do you need to say yes to? What situations have to come to an end? Yes, making a decision does take courage, and it takes confidence and a certain level of self-love and self-respect. Whenever you're confronted to make a decision, what a wonderful opportunity to test how connected you are to Source, how much you trust yourself. This is also a good way to notice how far you've come in developing this skill. It will take time, but you will get better at it. And the more that we practice and make decisions that feel intuitively right for us, this is how we start becoming the creator of our life. We have an internal GPS that is always leading us to the greatest good for us. By building up our confidence in the decision-making process, we begin to take charge of our life. We are no longer victims. We are no longer waiting for the circumstance to change, for people to behave a certain way. Making a decision within yourself, within your heart, initiates all change. Even making the decision of choosing to think a different way or reframing a certain situation, no matter how difficult it is, we always have a choice. We all know how to make a decision. We all know what feels good and what feels right for us. We've just forgotten how to reconnect to that part of us. So up the volume on your intuition. Speak assertively, even if you're quivering at first. Somehow the world will adjust and the people that love us will respect us, because we will be making decisions from a place of self-respect. With all of that being said, I think being highly sensitive and having this trait of heightened perception, and the fact that we do pick up on so much from our environment, it will always be a little bit more challenging for us to make swift decisions. But I do believe that we can get better at learning to trust ourselves and the choices that we make by implementing some of these tools.